Hello everybody, it's me, Riffraff Hornhelm, and I'm back again with another presentation from the Dwarven Vault. And today we have a monster review. And today we're going to take a look at the PSEUDO-DRAGON. And that's the PSEUDO-DRAGON as given to us from the original monster manual for use with basic Dungeons & Dragons and advanced Dungeons & Dragons, or what's typically known today as 1E. Welcoming everybody back, and of course, if you enjoyed today's episode, please be so kind as to hit that like button, consider subscribing if you haven't, share with your friends, leave us a comment, but definitely come back. So, on with the story. In any case, today we're talking about the PSEUDO-DRAGON, that little marvelous wonder that you too could possibly have as a familiar, or at least as a good companion and friend. Now, these are very rare. They appear one at a time. They're very small. They're less than a foot long. And they look kind of like a miniature red dragon, except more of a reddish-brown in color. Except under certain circumstances, so we'll talk about that. So when you find them, there's only going to be one at a time. They have a armor class of 2, which is pretty good. And they have 2 hit dice, which is pretty not so much, but of course they're less than a foot long, so what do you expect? And they also have a 35% resistance to magic. That's pretty cool. Now, they only have one attack, and that's because instead of having a normal tail, they have kind of a longer tail with a scorpion sting on the end of it. And it's that which gives them their single attack. But it's long, and they're able to move very fast with it. So fast that it strikes at +4 on the die roll for its attack. Now, if it strikes you, it only does 1 to 3 points of damage, but if you have to make a save versus poison, if you're not successful, you will go catatonic for 1 to 6 days. Yeah, that's a long time, right? And there's a 25% chance that during that time you'll actually die. During the time you go catatonic, you look as if you're dead. So your fellow adventurers may loot your body and bury you, for all I know. So it can have a pretty nasty side effect from just that one little sting. Now, the PSEUDO-DRAGON has the ability, it has this chameleon-like power. And it allows it to blend in against any background that it's in and make it very difficult to see. 80% of the time, you're not going to be able to see it unless the creature or person who's looking for it has the ability to see invisible objects. At the same time, the PSEUDO-DRAGON itself is able to see invisible objects. Now, it has one other very cool feature, and you don't even have to be its buddy. It just has to be touching you. If it's touching you, it can convey its magic resistance to whomever it's touching at that moment. So that 35% magic resistance is also something that, let's say it was your familiar, if it was roosting on your shoulder or something like that, you also would then have 35% magic resistance. It's a pretty cool little creature. Now, they hang out all over. There's no specific climate, though they would probably prefer a warmer climate. They're not stupid. And they generally layer inside of like old hollowed out trees or small caves. Remember, these are less than a foot long. Certainly something that would be a most excellent companion and support. They are technically neutral, though they tend to be more along the good lines than the bad. They aren't super smart, but they're not stupid either. They have average intelligence. And once again, because they align more towards good stuff, they're going to have a tendency to be more helpful to people who are good. They're highly prized and very rare. And if one is captured for any reason, they have a very, very high value. The same would be true of any eggs if there were any in its nest. There's no specific value given, but I'm sure it would be very lucrative if you were able to find them. So for us dwarves, I mean, this isn't something we would typically run into. Though they can be pretty much anywhere, they wouldn't have much reason to be underground. And, I'm not aware of any dwarves who've had any specific companionship relationships with these or anything like that. But of course, that doesn't mean it doesn't happen in the adventuring world. And we went out to the greater Hornhelm community and said, hey, Dungeon Masters, what about the pseudo-dragon? What do you think? What's the ranking on this one? And, we talked about it. They're somewhat similar to an imp or a quasit in terms of what they're trying to do, though these are less specifically aligned. They thought that they were a very handy creature if you could make the right relationship with them, and that even though they were only 2 hit dice, they said, yeah, this creature with what it can do is more like a 3.5. And I can't really disagree with that. I would have placed it around a 3.5 myself. Players who were with it, they came back much in the same range. They said between a 3 and a 4. It could be very helpful. The fact that you could add on that magic resistance in a fight, if they were on your side, they could be really helpful. They were impressed with this creature and thought it was stronger than its hit dice led you to believe. Probably a little overrated, but okay. So, that, my friends, is the pseudo-dragon. Hope you found this interesting, informative, entertaining, all that kind of good stuff. If you did, hit that like button, consider subscribing if you haven't, leave us a comment, share with your friends, but most of all, come back and see us again real soon. We thank you so much for your kind support. Take care, everybody, and remember, dwarves rock!